What is actually making you the sale on eBay? That is the big topic that we're discussing today. What's going on, folks, and welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, hey, how you doing? My name's Chris, and I'm building a business that suits my lifestyle. Now, as I just said, in this episode, I want to address a hot, burning topic around some of the big questions of why are some of our items selling like hotcakes and others sitting around like dust? Now, after last week's big conversation around should you be listing daily, if you haven't checked out the video, by all means, go check it out. I wanted to address the next relevant topic, what's actually causing our items to sell, and having a better understanding of what is driving your sales and how you can actually make it work for you. Now, one thing I want to set for this episode is some context, which I've touched on before, but in case you're new here, let me go through it again. And that is basically 4 reasons why people are buying. And essentially it can be broken down into these 4 categories. Number 1 is what people want to pay, basically perceived value based on supply versus demand, what people are willing to pay based on perceived value in the lack of supply and a higher demand, what people have to pay, lack of supply is very evident and the demand remains, and then what people can choose to pay because there's a high supply and demand isn't necessarily high. And those are the 4 quadrants or 4 factors that I believe is driving a lot of our sales up front, just without any context for eBay, but that is across the board. But what I'm going to address for you today is 3 factors that you need to consider of why your listings are selling versus why they are not. And this is where it's very, very relevant for eBay. Now, make sure you do stick around to the end, because if you are interested in seeing some of my own weekly progress and what I've been doing in my business, and also some show and tell, stick around to the end and I will show you some of that. Let's dive in. So there's 3 factors that we need to consider broadly, and that is explicit, implicit, and external factors. Now, I'm going to break down what these mean in case you're thinking, what am I talking about? Number 1 is explicit. And explicit refers to the effects that are clearly stated, directly stated, or openly acknowledged. So it's directly related to the sale. Implicit refer to the effects that are not explicitly stated, but are indirectly impacting or implied or understood. Again, I'm going to explain this very, very soon. And then external and uncontrollable factors. These are external or environmental factors that are beyond our direct control, but happen anyway. So explicit, what the heck does it mean? Well, this can be broken down into a couple of different things. So effects that are clearly stated or directly stated or openly acknowledged. So this can be anything from product quality, presentation, so that's your perceived value that people are looking at when your customers come into your store. What are they seeing? How is it represented to them? And then we have pricing, so the relevance of pricing to competitiveness as well. What are people seeing in terms of, oh, that's cheap, or is that too expensive, of like, hey, I might be able to get a bargain here, or is there an opportunity to make an offer and get a discount? The next one is shipping and fulfillment, the time to ship, the experience. What do they experience when they buy from you? Was it a good experience? Will it take a while? Can they do local pickup? All these different experiences around the shipping of the item, but also the fulfillment of the item. Now, I think a lot of these are very straightforward, but I think we also neglect some of these bare basics. Product quality and presentation, this is probably the most important thing because it's the first thing they're going to see. It's like you coming to my YouTube channel and seeing a certain thumbnail that actually tickles your fancy and that you want to watch it or click on it. It's the same thing with the products that you're selling online. Is it attracting people's eyeballs when they're scrolling down? Is that what they're seeing? Of course, then there's titles as well that's going to be relevant to the picture that they can see, but most people are going off that visual basis. Hey, when you click on an item on eBay, it doesn't necessarily even go into some description or anything, it's all visual. So are you telling a story of what you're selling purely by photos and what that quality presentation brings? And then we've got pricing, which I think speaks for itself because you've got a vast market of competition. So how are you pricing your item, and is it relevant to whatever it is you're selling in terms of the quality, the presentation, but also the scarcity of it too? And then we've got shipping and fulfillment. I know some things will take time to ship just because obviously there's things outside of our control, which we'll touch on later, but are you doing the best experience for your customer, and are you getting it to them as quick as possible? So number 2 is implicit, and that refers to the effects that are not explicitly stated, but indirectly implied or understood. So there's a few here that we can go through, and the first one being reputation and feedback, the perception and reputation of your brand based on past experiences or past customer experiences and their feedback. Now, top rating seller is the winning point here. If you're a top rated seller, well, eBay is going to help do a lot of work and make sure your brand is up top to show to people coming to your store. But if you've got a negative, if you've got a neutral feedback, those things can sting quite hard compared to a positive. A lot of people are still giving feedback, giving positives, but unfortunately, when you get one red sting, that's what most people are looking for first. What was the worst experience that they could get? And that's why you want to make sure that your reputation and your brand is speaking volumes. So when people come in, they know exactly what they're going to get, and there's no single piece of doubt. The next one is customer service and communication. How do you interact with your customers? How do you address their concerns? How do you provide for support? And now I know we get some very interesting questions. Sometimes they might come across as like, are you serious? Are you dumb? But we also have to understand that sometimes them going through this experience of buying online could be scary for them. It could be new for them. They honestly have no idea what's going on, or they don't know the features that are available to them in order to actually get the question answered that they have asking you. That's why they're asking you, right? Work with them, see what you can do, because it might actually get you a sale. Customer service and communication is key, like with any relationship. Same thing applies for business. Listing optimization. Now this is a key part of ensuring that our product listings are effective with keywords, with titles, with descriptions. Of course, we've discussed about the photos, but also making sure they're easily discoverable and appealing for potential buyers. Again, naturally, if we're doing the photo quality, if we're doing the description quality, if we're doing the actual listing quality, the optimization should come with it. But there's additional things that we can do, and do not leave those things on the table. eBay has put it out there for a reason, because they want people to be able to find your items so they can buy your items so they can make money. And the final point in this area is market trends and demand. We need to keep up with current trends, keep up with current market trends, and understand what our customers are actually looking for, what do they want, and what should we be offering to them in terms of the products and what aligns to their preferences. Now, this can be anything to product offering. It could be around the pricing that they're willing to pay, but it also could be just timing of whatever you have in stock. Of course, coming into winter, if you're selling, shorts and singlets, it's not really going to work in your favor. However, if you're selling to a completely different country that is, 40 degrees all year round, shorts and singlets is still relevant. So having that understanding of who's coming into your store and is it relevant to your market, but also what market trends are driving people coming into your store. Now, the third point is external and uncontrollable factors. Now, I think this one is very understanding, but also we can sometimes forget how much of an impact this has. And that is external or environmental factors, basically things outside of our control. Now, of course, anything that we can control, we should make sure we're doing some effort there. Some of these things we can't necessarily control, but we can mitigate. Let's go through them now. The first big one is changes in the economy. Now, that's happening very, very relevant at the moment, at the time of this video. We see that there's huge fluctuations with interest rates, inflation, and employment levels. Not necessarily at this point in time for the employment, but interest rates and inflation. People are struggling at the hip pocket, which means they're going to be living week to week, or they're going to be living paycheck to paycheck. And what they used to spend, just easily, now they have to think about it. I can't tell you how many times I've had cancellations in the last 6 months saying, I now can no longer afford this. I'm going to need the money back to pay for my phone bill. I kid you not, $30. They just can't do it. And here we can become frustrated, but your best option is to just cancel, move on, relist, and get it done. But that's an uncontrollable circumstance. You can't do anything about that. Unfortunately, that's impacting their purchasing decisions right down to the dot. And again, it's out of our control. The next one is shifts in consumer behavior. So this is basically their preferences, their trends, or their buying habits, such as the demand for eco-friendly or sustainable options. This is just one example, and that can really influence our sales. As the media pumps out information, as new trends take off, as we see things in a broader industry or a global industry, we can start to see that other consumers are starting to take a stance in these different areas, which they may require you to get on board with, which means you can control the factor in terms of, yes, you can mitigate it, you can get on board, but some of those trends, they're out of your control when they start to pop up and start to take off. The next one is market competition, the level of competition in your industry, including the number of sellers and the saturation of the market. Again, you can't control this. If anyone wants to jump on eBay today, they can. Nothing's stopping them. It's very, very low barrier to entry. However, we do have the ability to be obviously going back to what you're selling, how you're selling it, and keeping in mind the different factors of why a buyer is buying. Again, we cannot control other people coming in. It's more about how we are then going about actually selling an item. So you got to let people come and go as they please, because it's going to happen anyway. And I think the big elephant in the room, which we're all probably very relevant to now, is unforeseen circumstances, such as pandemics, things that popped up over the last couple of years. We never thought that was going to happen. We've then got banking crisis, which is also on the edge of potentially happening as well. Who knows? I'm not here to talk about that. We've got natural disasters. We have, things happening across the world, which is causing people to speculate on how they want to be spending their money. Should they be spending their money? How is the economy going? Are they thinking long-term, short-term? And this really does impact the consumer behavior. Again, out of our control. We can do our best to provide a service or a customer experience which helps them feel comfortable or a no-brainer in purchasing. But again, there's still things outside of our control that's going to limit their ability to be able to make a purchase. Now, there is one more thing that we need to consider, and I didn't touch on it before, and that is the eBay algorithm. Now, I want to be very frank, this is my own opinion. Actually, this entire video is my entire opinion, which I think you've already figured. But the eBay algorithm is a really big important factor that we need to consider, and I'm going to break it down to you why. If I'm selling let's say it's a North Face men's quarter snap sweatshirt fleece pullover jumper, all the keywords I tell you, it's $36 with $9.70 postage, or maybe international at a buyer's expense. Now, it's got 3-day handling, it's pre-owned, and it's based in postcode 1234, Victoria, Australia. That doesn't exist, but you get my point. Now, there's 7 things we need to consider when putting this into play, because it's 7 things that I believe the algorithm is considering as well. The first one is item relevance. The algorithm is assessing how well your listing matches to your buyer's search query, analyzing the item title and description and the keywords to then see if what you've searched for is even, should it come up in to be even ranked. Of course, then there's all the different factors around promotions and things like that, which we'll get to. The next one, seller performance. Your positive feedback rating, your fast shipping, your good customer experience service history will positively impact your item's visibility. Again, if you're a top rated seller, you're naturally going to get ranked higher. And then there's factors again. Is it promoted? Your seller performance. How quick is it going to take you to post it? Which again, we're going to talk about some of these things soon. Number 3 is listing quality. Do you have the high quality images? Do you have the accurate information? Do you have a well-structured content basically to improve your listings visibility? Again, that's what the algorithm's looking for. And I'm not making this stuff up. There's very, very obvious pieces of material where eBay says this is how you get a good listing. The next one is price competitiveness. We've touched on price, but the algorithm then compares your item's price to everyone else in the relevance of, is this item, one, relevant to our customer? Is the price the cheapest, the best, or what is the best price? You can filter by this. Best price or lowest including shipping or highest including shipping, all these different factors. And of course, they're going to look to see where they can find the best bang for buck for the customer, but also for them, because they're making money off this too. We then have shipping options. Is it offering worldwide? Is it shipping with reasonable handling time? It also broadens the reach. Also, if you're offering returns, that's going to get a little tick in the algorithm. What about location relevance? Proximity to the buyer's location is a big influence on your item being able to sell, especially if it's near the postcode of where you are, 1234. If I search for the item and the closest item is literally, 2 hours down the road, and that's going to only take 2 days to get here, that's the thing that they're going to recommend first, assuming it meets all the other criteria. But there's also going to be ones which they might be really cheap, but they're further away, but they realize you could still get it in 1 day because maybe they're on eBay Plus. There's lots of factors to consider. I'm not saying you've got to figure them all out. I'm helping you understand how all these things have a part to play. What about best offer availability? Are you providing a best offer option to your customers and your buyers? It giving them an option to work on deals, on wanting to negotiate prices. Again, these are all opportunities that enable a sale to happen, which means eBay can make more money. So if they can put the best opportunity, put the highest chance of someone making a purchase in front of them, and yours is that one, well, you're going to make money and eBay's going to make money. It is in eBay's best interest to put the offer in front of their customers, your customers, that the offer is so good that it would be silly not to accept it. And that's why you want to make sure you are meeting all the criteria. Now, all of these things will be considered when someone searches for a sold item. It has nothing to do with the right price. It might have nothing to do with the pretty pictures. It might not even have anything to do with free postage. Maybe someone is offering pickup today, local pickup today, for the same price or a little bit more, and they can get it today and not in 7 days. And that's why sometimes other people will get sales very, very quickly, or before you, when you think my price was better, why didn't I sell it? It's because there's all these different factors being taken into account. Hey, they might even be a repeat customer of that store. So we need to consider all these considerations. I mean, look, we list to sell, but don't list to list. You need to list to sell, understanding what are the different things that you're doing to in order that you are going to get the sale, with the things that you can control, with the things that are implied, but also taking into account that there's things here that might be out of our control and might not mean that we're doing anything wrong. Just because you don't get a sale doesn't mean you've done something wrong. I've gone from having best weeks one week and then almost half of my average the week after, and then jumping all the way back up. It's a roller coaster. It comes on so many different factors that we've covered today. So do understand the moving parts around you and understand that the explicit, the implicit, and the external too are all going to have a part to play in giving you a sale. One thing that I should say is what we can control is this. We can source good items and we can sell them for good prices. We can list said items. We can list them with quality photos. We can list them with quality descriptions and listing optimization. We can also price it right? We can make money, but quick money. We can also provide a top rated experience, meaning offering returns, refunds, a good customer experience as they go through the purchasing process and actually the delivery process as well. We can control that. Obviously, maybe not the postage part of it actually leaving our house or our business and going straight to the customer, but doing our best to ensure that they get an experience which was positive. And of course, then there's the whole process of shipping quick and shipping well, as I kind of just alluded to. So all these factors are things that we should be focusing on because we can control them. But we also need to consider everything else that we've discussed today, because you can do all the things by the book, all the things that we've mentioned here and above, but it doesn't always guarantee that you will get the sale. It all then comes down to the buyer. It all comes down to the buyer. They might not like the color of your item, even though your item is cheaper. Your item might be further away and they want to pick it up today. Maybe you don't offer free returns. I'm not here to say you should be doing any of these things. What I'm here to tell you is that there's so many factors we need to consider when going about making a listing. Just because you list it doesn't mean it's going to sell. Now, I addressed this in a previous video talking about should we be doing daily listings. A lot of controversy, a lot of hot topic here, and some of the thoughts around that. The same thing applies. If you're listing, you got to be listing to sell. Make sure you know what you're listing and is it going to sell. This takes it to the next level of helping you understand all the relevant points of making that item sell. We can go on further and further on this. We can talk about, pricing strategies over a period of time, coupons, promotions. How do we actually make an offer so good that it would be stupid that the buyer didn't say yes? We can go into so many details of those. Not in this video. I hope I've covered enough here to help you understand the important factors that we need to be considering when it comes to selling online and why some of your items are selling like hotcakes and the others are sitting around like dust. If you do have questions about this, more than happy to continue the conversation. Chuck them down in the comments below. And if you've got some thoughts and opinions and theories on this as well, by all means, please share. All right, we're going to dive into my week and how that's progressed, and then we're going to touch on some behind the scenes. So week 122 has been a pretty rewarding week. As you can see here, these are all the items that have been selling. For me, clothes, electronics, jeans have been the winner for the week. And then we've got books as well, which, haven't been too bad. DVDs as well. Actually, everything's been pretty solid. It's been a very good week. Not high ASP, but very consistent of around $28. But here's all the items. Clothing, still the big winner at the moment. In terms of some of the cool items that have been selling and some of the top items as well, here are 4 that I want to take you through. The first one being these Momotaro women's jeans. Now, these ones I picked up for $3.89 at a local thrift shop. Crazy stuff. I knew nothing about them. I saw them. I did the research on the spot. Took me a little bit to figure out what they were. I've had them listed for a while. I've been able to sell them for $145.70 going over to the US, and I've walked away with $98.06 profit after fees and postage. Top item number 2 was some more clothes. This was a men's leather jacket, and it's Eden. This one, again, didn't know anything about it, but I've been looking at a lot more warmer clothing coming into the cooler weather here in Australia, and this one I actually paid about $14.33 for. Been able to sell it for $115, only lasted for about 3 days, and I've walked away with $72.67 after fees and postage. Top item number 3, more clothing, surprise, was this Wrangler National Patriot shirt. Now this one had been sitting around for a while. I purchased it for $12. It finally sold. It's going all the way over to France. That's for $92.40. And after fees and postage, I've walked away with $56 and about 9 cents. So some of these unique pieces of clothing, they do top dollars. The final item for this week that I'll share is another Nintendo 64 game. I shared one just a couple of weeks ago. This one I picked up at Savers, Lamborghini. It was really good condition. Like seriously, it was very good condition. I paid $11.79 for this, average cost of good, and was able to sell it for $67. That includes postage, and I've walked away with $35.04. I wanted higher for this, but because of my low cost of good, let's just move it, and it went down the road, so it didn't actually cost me too much in postage either. All right, week 122, how have the sales been? Well, 119 sales, pretty solid. Cost of goods this week was $871 worth, up there for sure. We've sold $3,381 worth with a profit of $1,333. In terms of ASP, we've done around $28.41. Average cycle time is 95 days, so that 90-day cycle of these items actually selling. Of course, some are selling quicker, some are selling from a lot longer. Some of my DVDs have been sitting around for 150 days, 200 days, whereas there's things here that have only literally been listed for 3 days, if not less, and they're selling very quickly. So it's all over the place. All right, team, let's dive into some show and tell. All right, team, welcome to Monday, and it's been my best week yet. It's been my best weekend yet. It's my new levels, nearly on 38,000 for 90 days. We've got 71 packages going out, guys. So this is a couple of bundles. This is a nice Levi jacket, but just been getting all this out now. We have DVDs, we have books, we have clothes, we have clothes, we have clothes, we have clothes. A lot of this is jackets, fleeces, jeans and shirts. We've got a camera here, we've got more media, we've got a Cisco IP phone, we've got books, cameras, books, media, DVDs, phones, the works. So it's going to be a bit of a busy morning. I reckon this is going to take a good 2 hours. So I'm going to get cracking, and it's all good problems. Seriously, it's quite surreal, to be honest. Yeah. It's quite surreal, just soaking it all in. I mean, I'm not having this every day, of course, but I think I had 3 30 sale days this week, so yeah, it was pretty intense, pretty cool. It's all amazing. Appreciate you all. Let's make this happen. All right, team, all done. Took 2.5 hours. That's from everything from packing to the printing as well, which is now on here as filler, but crazy stacks. Jeepers, I'm so grateful. This is incredible. This progress to be able to track it. I took a picture just before. You nearly can't see me standing behind it. Anyway, what a day. And it's only, I'm not even finished the day. I'm exhausted. It's 1:30. I'm going to go home, do photos, do listings, and yeah, take it easy for a bit. So Monday, let's see what this week brings, hey? Alright team, it is Thursday, and back here dropping off a lot of clothing. This has all been done by my helper, so very happy with this, and I've got a few other things that I've got to unpack. Got my delivery of all this bad boys. Going to do a bit of assortment here, but essentially we're doing the usual pick, pack and post. I do need to do another reorg of all this. So I can probably gain back hopefully 2-3 shelves maybe, as there's a lot of wiggle room in a lot of these, and probably start seeing if I can, run some discounts and things like that on the older stuff. So all part of the new processes that I'm trying to test out. Yeah, got a lot going in my head at the moment, just thinking about some growth opportunities and how to build that momentum or slingshot again, because things are going well, but I need to make a heavy change in order to make things go even better. So it's always the game. Anyway, I'm going to pull out all the stuff and I'll take you through what has sold over the last couple of days. All right, 42 items going out, and we're almost, I mean, we're not there, but we've got a little bit to go, but we're getting close to 39,000 actually. We're at 38,500, so I'm pretty happy with that. All right, what have we got going out? We've got lots of DVDs going out. Always find that every second week there's a lot of DVDs. Oh, Zelda's coming on its way, sweet. I did sell the other Nintendo 64 game I picked up the other day. I think I got 65 for that. I've got a phone going out, I've got an iPod going out. I've got a camera that I picked up literally yesterday, sold it for $60. Got some other parts not working pieces. This is from a consignment deal that I'm doing. Got some shoes going out, some Pumas, lots of clothes. This big jacket picked up just a week ago. I did only pay, oh, there's some hair in that, Jesus. Pay $15 for it, so I'm pretty happy with that. We've got lots of books going out, some Terry Brooks, actually a lot of Terry Brooks. These are all jeans and shirts, by the way. There's a couple of bundles in there. Got a Switch game going out. More media, and there is a CD here. Shout out to an individual. I don't want to say names or anything because I don't know what they want me to say, but they did purchase something and then they realized they didn't want it. But it turns out, anyway, long story short, they do watch the channel and they purchase something anyway, so I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Pretty sure that's your one. A few other things here. Got a video game. This is what I picked up with Kevin. That's gone as well. So things are moving. Things are moving well. I've got lots of stock to still continue to clean through. This has been sitting here for ages. I just have not sat and gone through it. So time juggling, really just got to start weighing up. Is it worth to assess some of this stuff, or is it just get rid of it? Just get rid of it. Probably just get rid of it, to be honest. All right, let's pack it all up and then do some admins and get back to the grind. Let's do it. Also, a quick shout out to all the people that won some Pokemon cards, and also to Jason. He purchased some cards. He got some pretty good hits actually with this. He did really well. So just packing these up every Wednesday, live stream. Do giveaways. You can also buy stuff too. Appreciate you. Let's move on. Well, there you go. Again, if you do have any questions, comments, thoughts on all of this, more than happy to continue the conversation. I think there's a lot that we can take away from any of these conversations. Now, I'm not here to say that I've got it all figured out. I'm just here sharing my opinions, my thoughts. But I think there's some really big factors we need to take into consideration when we are trying to make a sale on eBay. A lot of the time we get so stuck up on just listing for the sake of listing, when there's a whole different conversation we need to have, as we've just had, around, what are we listing? What are we considering when we list it? Is it relevant to what the people want? What are the factors that are going to impact the potential sale of this item as well? Of course, there's probably even more that we can dive into, but here I believe I've touched the surface level enough to help you go ahead, list better, have a better understanding of how to get your items to sell and who's buying them and why, and also why we might be seeing so many roller coasters at the moment of ups and downs and ins and outs of people buying and people not. At the end of the day, we don't control a lot of these things, but we've got to focus on what we can control. Appreciate you being here. If you've got any questions, chuck them down below. Otherwise, you have a wonderful day. Cheers.